guarantee they ain't strong. They'll bend, they'll break, they'll deviate, they'll succumb to the pressure, they'll quit, they'll relent, they'll wave the white flag or whatever, however you want to say it. They will quit. If they do not have core values, they don't have principles which they are willing to die on, then they will quit. They will relent, and they will just make things infinitely more difficult for everyone around them. Bismillah walhamdulillah wassalat wassalam ala khayn haqillah Muhammad ibn Abdullah salawatullahi wa salamu wa barakatuh alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam taslim kathiran illa yawm ad-din. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What is up, guys? I'm Joshua Angel. I'm the host of the Ultimate Muslim Man podcast, the place for Muslim men who absolutely despise mediocrity and demand excellence in all areas of their life. Today, I want to talk to you about something that is very near and dear to my heart, and that is the concept of core values. Now, this is something that I have discussed extensively in episode 6. I believe it's titled Real Muslim Men Master This Daily. I go into real depth with one particular core value in that video, in that podcast, depending on how you're consuming it. But today, I really want to go into all 9. There are 9 different core values that I personally strive to live by every single day. And the reason why that's valuable to you, the reason why that's important to you, the reason why you should pay attention is because, number one, if you're trying to be a better Muslim, which if you're listening to this podcast or you'll consume this on YouTube, wherever you're watching this, you should want to be a better Muslim. All right? I shouldn't have to explain that anymore. If you want to be a better husband, if you want to be a better father, if you want to excel in your career, if you want to reach your potential, or at least strive for your potential, if you're not married yet, but you want to be someone who would be, you want to make yourself an attractable potential spouse, right? You don't think that you have a lot going on for you right now, but you want to be someone that you can, can present yourself as a worthy spouse, as someone who would be like, yeah, I definitely want to get with that brother, inshallah, and, start a family. So if you want to find your passion, if you want to find your purpose, which is what I mean by that is, obviously we as Muslims know that Allah Azza wa Jal created us to worship Him. That is our purpose. But within those guidelines and within that boundary, what is your specific value that you're gonna deliver to the Muslim Ummah, right? Because we know that worship is not exclusive to or limited to Salah, to Zakat, to Saum, right? There are many different forms of worship, as long as it fits 2 criteria. As long as your actions fit 2 criteria, then your worship is fair, inshallah, is good, bidnillah. And that is ikhlas, sincerity for Allah, and it follows the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If it adheres to his sunnah, alayhi salatu wasalam. You meet those 2 criteria, those 2 conditions, then that's a, inshallah, valid act of worship. So what are you going to contribute to the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that is also going to be a means of good deeds on Yawm al-Qiyamah, as well as a means of freeing your neck from the hellfire by the permission of Allah and His mercy? So if that sounds good, you're like, yeah, man, definitely want to be a better Muslim, definitely want to be a better father, I want to be more disciplined. Whatever it is that you're trying to achieve in life, core values will help you. And another reason is because making decisions on a day-to-day basis are incredibly difficult. Making the right decisions, they can be very hard because sometimes there's just nuance in life, there's challenges, and you're not really sure exactly what the correct decision may be. But you always want to be able to have integrity. You always want to be able to look yourself in the mirror, no matter what, at the end of the day, and be proud of what's looking back at you. Be proud of who's looking back at you. And one of the ways that you can do that is with core values, because those are guidelines, those are principles, those are the guardrails of life to keep you on track, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So even if you make a mistake, which you're going to, because you're human, even if you make a bad judgment, a poor judgment, you make the wrong decision, you can still have integrity. I believe there's a saying that goes, it takes 20 years to build trust or respect or integrity, one of those words, maybe another word, and it basically takes 2 seconds to completely ruin it, right? And one of the reasons is because if you don't have core values, you don't have these guidelines with which to make decisions, then you can absolutely ruin your reputation and, with one terrible decision because you didn't follow core values, right? Guiding principles of life. Enough of that. Number one, the very first core value that I think you should have in your life, and I really am not going to go into too much detail about this, hopefully, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because it really doesn't, I say it doesn't need a whole lot of explanation, but if we look at the current state of the ummah today, I may not necessarily agree with that statement. And that is unwavering loyalty to Islam. Period. Full stop. Unwavering. You have no reason, no legitimacy, no excuse to ever abandon Islam. Ever. For any reason whatsoever. That should be your number one criteria for making decisions, for conducting yourself as a human being in 2023, 2024, whenever you're listening to this. Okay? Unwavering loyalty to Islam. Tab, Sunnah, Fahm, understanding of the Sahaba, of the Tabi'een, the Atbat Tabi'een. And that's how we make our judgments. That's how we make our decisions on a day-to-day basis. Right? And I'm going to use, inshallah azawajal, proof and evidences to back up all of these core values to hopefully solidify them so that you have solace of the heart, right? Calmness of the heart. And you're like, inshallah azawajal, I'm going to go ahead and implement these in my life as well. So, number one, what's the proof? Obviously, we're going to try to use proof, inshallah azawajal, to back up why we think you should do this. So, unwavering loyalty to Islam. Number one, Allah azawajal, He says in Surah Al-Ma'idah, Ayah 3, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم إسلامي دينا. Allah Azza wa Jal, He says, this day I have perfected for you your religion and completed my favor upon you and have approved for you Islam as a religion. Now, if something's perfect, if it's pristine, if it's chosen by the creator of the heavens and the earth who created you, why would you not use that to guide your life? Doesn't make any sense, right? Doesn't make any sense not to do that. So that'd be number one. We also can go to Surah number 6, Al-An'am, Ayah 162. Allah Azza wa Jal, He says, Qul inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya ومماتي لله رب العالمين لا شريك له وبذلك أمرت وأنا أول المسلمين. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, say, قل يا Muhammad, say, tell the people, indeed, my prayer, my rites of sacrifice, my living and my dying are for Allah, Lord of the worlds. No partner has He. In this I have been commanded, and I am the first amongst you of the Muslims. So this is another evidence, another proof that you should live, you should die, you should do everything for Allah according to Islam, according to what Allah and His Messenger ﷺ have commanded you to do. Another one. Try to make this quick, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't want to waste any of your time. Bidnillah. Al-Imran, Ayah 85. Inshallah Azza wa Jal. Allah Azza wa Jal, He says, ومن يبتغي يغير الإسلام دينا فلن يقبل منه وهو في الآخرة من الخاسرين. And whoever desires other than Islam as religion never will be accepted from him, and he in the hereafter will be amongst the losers. So again, I think that's pretty clear. I think it's pretty clear that the number one core value you should have in your life is to live by Islam. Okay? And another reason why I say this is because you may say, yeah, I'm living as a Muslim, but are you really? And what I mean by that is, have you done the due diligence to make sure that what you believe, what you practice, what you do on a day-to-day basis is actually from the deen, is actually from Islam, is actually what Allah Azza wa Jal perfected for you? Because most of us don't do our due diligence. Most of us, we just say, Sheikh said it. The Sheikh said it. So, khalas. If the Sheikh said it, khalas. Must be true. But you have to do your due diligence, man. You have to go look and say, okay, where's the evidence? What's the proof? From Kitab, from Sunnah, from the Athar, from the statements of the Sahaba, from the Salaf as-Salih, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is that what your culture does? Is that what your local masjid does? Is that what your parents taught you? You have to do your due diligence, right? So there's more that I could say about this specific core value, but I think that the point is clear, and I don't want to waste your time, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we're going to get right into it. Number 2, second core value that I believe that you should implement in your life is that you always leave something or someone better than you found it. You always leave something or someone better than you found it. That should be a core value. That should be something that you do every single day. When you see something, and again, I use the example because I love the gym. I love training. I love working out. That's something that I really love to do. And something that I notice that nobody does, but to me, it's like, it's another advantage. It's me paying attention to the details, the small details, and perfecting the small details. Because if I pay attention to the nuance, I will pay attention to the bigger aspects of life. And so will you, inshallah azza wa jal. So most people, they pick up the dumbbells, they pick up an easy bar, right? They do their little set, and then they just throw it back, right? Not me. Alhamdulillah. Always leave something or someone better than you found it. You make sure that those dumbbells are absolutely perfect, right? You make sure that the numbers on the bottom, typically, the numbers are going to be on the bottom, so that, look, these say 25 and 25, perfect. 30 and 30, 32 and a half, 32 and a half. You see there's a mess up, go ahead and take the 2 seconds to fix them. Is someone else going to go and mess them up? Sure, but you know what? That's not your problem. Your problem is what you're trying to do is build the habit, okay, regardless of what someone else does. Because you might say, oh man, why would I waste my time? You're not wasting your time because you are building the habit of what? Always leaving someone or something better than you found it. And the proof of that, the reason why you should do that from an Islamic perspective, is all you have to do is look at the seerah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All you have to do is look at his seerah. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, everybody that he came in contact with, one way or another, in one shape or another, one form or another, he always left someone or something better than he found it. Alayhi salatu wassalam. One of the hadith that I love, that this is another just proof and evidence, inshallah azza wa jal, for why you should implement this core value in your life, I believe is the, let's see what we got here. Bismillah. Here we go. Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu reported that he was riding behind the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam, when he said to me, the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam said to Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, young man, I will teach you some words. Be mindful of Allah and he will protect you. Be mindful of Allah and you will find him before you. If you ask, then ask from Allah. If you seek help from Allah. Know that if the nations gathered together to benefit you, they could not benefit you unless Allah has decreed it for you. And if the nations gathered together to harm you, they could not harm you unless Allah has decreed it for you. The pens have been lifted and the pages have dried. This is in Sunan Tirmidhi and graded Sahih. Inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, graded authentic by the permission of Allah. And that's a perfect example, man, of Prophet Muhammad went out of his way to teach this young boy, to teach this young man, Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, right? To teach him this amazing concept, right? That be mindful of Allah, that you have to ask Allah azza wa jal, right? You seek help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Know that no one can benefit you except Allah. And know that no one can harm you except if it's already been written for you. So be patient, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That was a prime example of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam leaving this young boy better than he found him. Alayhi salatu wassalam. So number 3, we're going to get right. We're just going to keep on rolling, inshallah azza wa jal. Keep this rolling. I'm going to have me a little bit of caffeine, inshallah. Excuse me for one moment. Bismillah. Not a sponsor, just an empty cup. Not empty, but. All right, number 3. This is the one I harped on, and went into detail in episode number 6. So I would suggest, if you really want to hear more about this one, go back to episode 6. Lead by example. All right, lead by example. I mentioned in that previous video, if you're stuck in life, if you don't know what to do, if you don't know what goals to set, lead by example. It's very simple. It's black and white. It's do Do you lead by example or did you not lead by example? And one of the ways that you can answer this question is if you have children, right? I tend to ask myself, would I be pleased if my son did that? Would I be pleased if my son or if my children made the decision that I did and had the behavior that I had and did what I just did? Would I be pleased with that? If I would be, if I would be proud and I would go, mashallah, may Allah preserve you. That's absolutely amazing, son. I'm so proud of you. Then alhamdulillah. And if I would be upset, if I would be angry, if I'd be disappointed, if I would be embarrassed, then who am I to do what I would not approve of for my children, right? So lead by example, man. I'm just going to leave it at that, essentially, because, like I said, number 6, episode 6 podcast, I really go into depth in that. So if you're a returning listener, I don't want to waste your time. Go back and check that one out. And if you listen to the intro, excuse me, if you listen to the intro of this podcast, that's exactly what I'm playing. Allah Azza wa Jal, He says, I'm going to find it for you real quick, inshallah. And Surah At-Tahrim, Ayah 6. Let's see, here we go. Oh, yeah, no, that is true. But actually, I was referring to يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهلكم نارا وقودها الناس والحجار عليه ملائكة غلاظ شداد إلى آخر the rest of the ayah. The main point that I'm trying to get to, Allah says, "O you have believed, protect yourselves and your family from a fire whose fuel is people and stones, over which appointed angels harsh and severe, and they don't disobey Allah." Point of that, Allah commands you, "O you have believed, protect yourselves and your families from the fire." How do you do that? How do you protect them if you ain't leading by example? If you ain't showing them what to do and what not to do? If you yourself are not implementing Islam, if you yourself aren't striving to be the best Muslim you can be, then how can you possibly expect rather your families to do the same, your children to do the same? It's really absurd when I see these Muslims, may Allah help us all and forgive us all, who are dumbfounded that their children don't want to be Muslim, a'udhu billah, or they're in the streets, or they're, they just don't care about Islam. They're not in the masajid. They do whatever they do. And it's like, well, dude, were you a great example? Were you implementing Islam to the best of your ability, really, really striving every day to implement an Islamic household? Were you being the Islamic example for your children? Now, of course, Allah can still decide to send those children astray, because we have the examples of the Anbiya. We have the example of Nuh alayhi salam. We have the example of many different prophets where, their children went astray. There's nothing, what are you going to say, that the Anbiya weren't the best examples? Of course they were. Alayhim salatu salam. So your children can still go astray, but the likelihood of that taking place when you and your wife, really truly try to implement Islam every single day, Kitab and Sunnah, and you're constantly making dua, and you're close to Allah, and you're showing them how to conduct themselves as a Muslim. You emphasize the importance of Islam. I think it's unlikely, and Allah surely knows best. But yeah, the intro that I was referring to is chapter 3, Surah Al Imran, ayah 104. Bismillah. Where Allah Azza wa Jalla says, وَلْتَكُمْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٍ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ وَيَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. And let there be a rising from you, a nation inviting to all that is good and joining what is right and forbidding what is wrong, and those will be the successful. Allah Azza wa Jalla commands, let there be from among you people who call to all that is good. That's leading by example, because it's not enough to, again, just talk, just lip service. People, they want to see action behind it. So that's what I'm going to say about that. Number 3, lead by example. And I believe that's incredibly, crucially important in 2024, everything that's going on in the world today, to lead by example. Number 4, inshallah azza wa jal, go the extra mile. This is another core value that I do my very best to live by. And again, I suggest that you do the same. Again, why? Why should we do this? Well, again, if you want to be the best Muslim, if you want to be the best parent, if you want to be the best spouse, if you want to excel in your career, if you want to achieve anything in your life, do you think that going the extra mile may help? What does that mean, going the extra mile? This means doing way, 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 way more than the bare minimum. Most people, that's all they do. They do enough just to get by. They do just enough, just the bare minimum, and that's it. So don't be like most people. Go the extra mile. Go above and beyond what anyone could ever expect of you, and then some. Over deliver all of the time to the best of your ability. Over deliver. Go the extra mile. And how I think about this is the hadith of Jibreel alayhi salam, asking about numerous things, and one of them that we learn about the levels of Iman. You have the Muslim, you have the Mu'min, and you have the Muhsin. So there's levels. You have the Muslim every day, right? Maybe just prays their 5 salawat, fast month of Ramadan, gives their zakat, perhaps performs Hajj once in their life if they have the ability to do so, gives a little extra sadaqah here and there, and they're content with that. They don't want to do any more than that. They don't want to push themselves any more than that. That's it. And inshallah, alhamdulillah, inshallah, there's a place for them in paradise. But then you have the mu'min, another level up. And finally, you have the Muslim. And so when I think about going the extra mile, it's like, that's the Muslim. That's the one that goes above and beyond, reaches the pinnacle, reaches the peak, does the best they possibly can in all aspects of their life. Go the extra mile. Again, go the extra mile as a husband, go the extra mile as a parent, go the extra mile in your career. If you are self-employed, if you're a CEO, a founder of a business, go the extra mile for your customers, go the extra mile for your employees, go the extra mile for your vendors and suppliers and different partnerships. Go the extra mile if you want to succeed. Inshallah. Number 5, stay humble. Stay humble. And the evidence that I use for this is, now, what is being humble? What is humility? Does that mean that you're just like putting yourself down all the time? You're just letting people step all over you and walk all over you and, treat you poorly? And he's like, oh man, I'm just being humble. I wouldn't call that being humble personally. I think humility is just acknowledge that your ignorance is greater than your knowledge. Your ignorance is greater than your knowledge. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have self-esteem, that you don't have confidence in inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that, Allah has blessed me with these things. I don't deny the favors of Allah. Allah gave me the understanding of this skill set. He gave me the understanding the ability to think, the ability to comprehend this specific skill set, the ability to use my hands in a specific manner in order to perform this skill set, or my mind, or whatever it is that I need to do. So everything is from Allah, no doubt. And Allah has given me that confidence that I can perform these things. But I have the humility to know that I can always improve. I can always get better. And so we look at the story of Musa and Khidr, alayhi salatu wasalam. Musa alayhi salam was the most knowledgeable. He was the most knowledgeable of the people. He was a prophet, man. He was someone whom Allah Azza wa Jalla spoke directly to. SubhanAllah. And yet he humbled himself. He showed humility. You think he didn't think he had knowledge? He knew he had knowledge. He knew that he had ilm from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He had wahy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That he was chosen by Allah Azza wa Jalla. But he showed humility in knowing that he could get better. So that's when I say stay humble, I don't mean let people walk all over you. That's not what I mean. I mean, know that you can always improve. You can always learn. You can always get better, simply put. So number 5, stay humble, stay hungry, learn as much as you possibly can so that you can improve, yourself and the people around you that you love. Number 6, be disciplined. Be disciplined. This is something that a lot of people struggle with, which is really, really interesting because the 5 salawat every single day should teach you discipline. The month of Ramadan should teach you discipline. Yet I find that so many brothers, I can only speak for the brothers. I don't really talk to sisters, but the brothers really, really struggle with discipline, which is absurd to me because I'm like, you practice it every single day. But number 6, be disciplined. We're going to use Surah Zab Ayah 70. Boom. Allahu Akbar. What is it? I put 3370. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ittaqullaha wa qulu qawlan sadidin. Now I remember. I wrote this yesterday. يصلي لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. Yeah, at first I was a bit confused by my own my own logic over here. But yes, be disciplined. So what is discipline? What is discipline? It's keeping the promises you made to yourself. You said, I'm going to do this thing, and then you execute. You do it, regardless of how you feel, regardless if the circumstances are in your favor or not, regardless if it's convenient, regardless of anything. You are going to get it done, inshallah. That's being disciplined. So Allah Azza wa Jalla, He commands you, be with the truthful. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ittaqullaha wa qulu qawlan sadidin. Speak words of appropriate justice. Qulu ma'a sadiqin. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, be with the truthful. And so, if you're going to be with the truthful, yet you lie to yourself every single day, you break promises to yourself every single day because you're not disciplined. You don't do what you say you're going to do. You say something and then you break the promise. You say, man, this is enough. This is done. I'm over this thing, this vice, this bad habit. I want to start this good habit. And then you fall off. You quit. You relent. You make excuses. Are you being from the truthful? Are you fulfilling the command, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ittaqullaha wa qulu qawlan sadidin? Speak a word of straightforwardness and truthfulness. Or to be with the truthful. 9:19. Maybe that perhaps this is the ayah that I'm referring to. 9:19. Allahu Alam. Allahu Alam. Anyways, I think the point's clear that if you're not being disciplined, if you're not being structured, if you're not keeping your promise to yourself and promise to other people, then you're not fulfilling that command. Number 7. We have 9 to go. We have 9 in total. We're on number 7. I appreciate the value. Hopefully you're getting value from this, and I appreciate your attention to this matter. Inshallah, it's going to improve your life by the permission of Allah. Number 7, accept responsibility. I mean, it's pretty simple with this one. The day of judgment, we're all going to be held accountable. You can't point fingers. You can't say it was Shaitan's fault. He's the one that whispered to me. He's the one that misled me. Shaitan, Iblis, Allah curse him, will say, blame yourself. I only called. I only whispered. I only called. I only suggested, but you were the one who listened. So blame no one but yourself. So accept responsibility, man. Hold yourself accountable. If you made a mistake, own it. Don't make excuses. Just own it. Accept responsibility. Pretty straightforward, man. This is not something that should be foreign to the mind of the Muslim. But somehow it is. Which is aji. It's strange. It's bewildering. I don't understand it. So accept responsibility. for everything that you do and everything that other people do because it's still your fault. Accept responsibility, extreme ownership. You ever heard of it? It's a great book. You should read it. Got it right behind me. If your wife talks to you a certain way and you don't like that, well, you need to communicate better. You need to communicate to her why that's inappropriate for you to talk like for her to talk like that, or your children, or whatever is going on in your life. There's something that you don't like, then it's upon you to do your best to fix it, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Accept responsibility. Number 8, take initiative. Take initiative. If you see something wrong, do not leave it for the next man to fix. It's similar to go the extra mile, or lead by example, or leave something better than you found it. Take initiative. If you see a problem, you fix it. And again, this is from Islam. This is from the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, talking about, if you see a broken branch in the road, and it's causing harm to the Muslims, pick it up and put it in its proper place. Deal with it. Take initiative. Don't leave it for the next man. And that's fair for you, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's sadaqah jariyah for you, inshallah. So take initiative, man. Don't wait around for handouts. Don't wait around. Just, I'm going to make dua and just sit on my hands. That's not how life works. You make dua and then you take action. You make dua, you take action. You make dua, you take action. Take initiative. If you implement these in your life, if you were unwavering in your loyalty to Islam, if you always left something or someone better than you found it, if you always led by example, if you always went the extra mile, if you remained humble and constantly learned and constantly tried to improve yourself and didn't think that you knew it all, if you were disciplined, if you accepted responsibility for what is going on in your life that you don't like, if you took initiative to fix it, do you really think that your life would look like it is? Do you really think that you would have the struggles and the misery, depression, the anxiety, the frustration, all of the things that you're dealing with on a daily basis? Do you really think you would be experiencing them if you had these core values? My guess is probably not. Number 9 is be selfless. Be selfless. I don't think anyone embodies, in my personal experience, no one embodies this core value more than my wife. May Allah preserve her. She's the most selfless individual I've ever met in my life. If I only had, subhanAllah, if I had a tenth of the selflessness that she has, I think I'd be doing all right, man. I think I'd be doing all right. But it's clear, man. 59.9. Let's see what we got here. 59.9. Yes. Allah Azza wa Jal, He talks about the Muhajirin and the Ansar, where it says, Allah Azza wa Jal, He says, they love those who emigrated to them and find not any want in their breast of what they, the emigrants, were given, but give them preference over their own selves, even though they are in privation, even though they're in need. They give to the Muhajirin. Is that right? I'm struggling tonight, man. Those who made hijrah. Words are hard tonight. Allah Mustaan. But that's a perfect example, man, of being selfless. Right? Being selfless. Not being so self-centered. Now, there is a point where you have to be selfish. You have to be selfish in order to be selfless. Right? If I am able to build myself up into the best person that I possibly can, right? I get myself financially independent and secure, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I had to be selfish. I had to put these hours, okay, in the business. I had to put the hours in this and that, so that I could be selfless. I could give money to to different charitable organizations or to the masjid in a substantial manner. I can take care of these different people. I can take care of orphans. I can do all these things. I can be totally selfless and give the money away. But at first, I had to be selfish, work hard, make time, sacrifice this time, sacrifice that time, so that I could be selfless. And with that being said, man, I hope you got value from today's podcast or video. Again, those are the 9 core values that I try to live by every single day. And I think that if you were to implement even just one of them, maybe you don't jive with all of them. Maybe you think, man, it's a little overwhelming. I don't know, 9 different core values. That's a lot, Okay. Well, like I said in episode number 6, number one would be your attention to Islam. But to me, that's a gimme. So after that one, if you were to choose any core value to focus on right now to drastically improve your life, it would always be lead by example. Lead by example. What do you want to see in the world, man? If you just lead by example, dude, be the strongest person you can be in every single area of life. Spiritually, physically, emotionally, mentally, physically. I don't know if I said that already. All of the above. If you were to just lead by example and take initiative, then I think it would drastically improve your life, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That being said, it's a late night, dude. I'm trying to deliver this value to the best of my ability. It's late. Your boy's tired. And I hope that you got value. So Allah surely knows best. If you got value, do me 2 things real quick and I'll get out your hair. Number 1, implement it. Implement what I've taught you by the permission of Allah. Implement it. Do something with it. Don't just listen passively. Don't just go, mashallah, that's real nice, and don't do nothing with it. Implement it. And number 2, if you got value, if you got benefit, then share the khair, man. Share it with a brother. Share it with someone who could also benefit, because we need strong men in this ummah. We need strong men with backbones in this ummah. And people who don't have core values, guarantee they ain't strong. They'll bend. They'll break. They'll deviate. They'll succumb to the pressure. They'll quit. They'll relent. They'll wave the white flag or whatever, however you want to say it. They will quit. If they do not have core values, they don't have principles which they are willing to die on, then they will quit. They will relent, and they will just make things infinitely more difficult for everyone around them. So if you don't want to fall in that category, I highly suggest that you get core values. Allah surely knows best. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
ولتكن منكم أمة يدعون إلى الخير ويأمرون بالمعروف وينهون عن المنكر وأولئك هم المفلحون.